What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna be autocrossing the V6 MR2. I normally would tow the car to the event just because, well, it's honestly not really much of a street car anymore. I decided to drive it today just to get some extra miles on it and help, figure out any of the bugs that it may have. The other reason that I wanna drive this car to the event is just so I can enjoy it a lot more. All I've been doing on it recently is just working on it, and really my passion when it comes to cars is driving them. So I'm gonna take this on a, I guess, mini road trip. I don't even know if road trip's really the right word. It's about 50 miles one way, so 100 miles round trip. And then obviously I'll be doing, probably 4 or 5 runs at the Autocross event. I'm gonna be traveling light today just because the V6 MR2 doesn't really have that much room. And I probably should clarify, a lot of it has to do with the modifications. So on the back side here, the trunk has the methanol pump and the methanol tank. I don't want anything moving around and potentially hitting it and breaking anything. Behind the seats, there's obviously the roll bar in there, which impacts space there. So essentially I have room in the passenger seat and the front. And because of that, again, I'm just gonna travel light. Some miscellaneous hand tools right here, my air pump, helmet, and then just a bag that has things like a camera mount and whatnot. Yeah, I'm close enough to home that if anything goes wrong, I'll just call AAA. And I made it to the event with no issue. The car worked really, really well. Everything's already unloaded back there. I got my sheet because I'm allowed to self-tech. And again, I'm super, super stoked that it worked well, because the other day I had an issue with what I thought was the fuel pump, but it's not acting up. We'll see throughout the day if it still holds up, because I think it might be a heat-related issue. So this will give me a chance to kind of figure that out. Kind of curious how the car will behave now, because in the front I have significantly more caster just because I put the top hats to the extreme setting. I'm running more camber as well. I was running about 3 degrees, now I'm running 3.5 in addition to the added caster. In the back I'm running a little bit more camber as well. I think it's about 2.5 degrees, and then all the way around I'm now running just a smidge of toe in. What I used to run is in the front just a smidge of toe out, and in the back just a smidge of toe in. So it's now toe in all the way around. So we'll see how this car behaves and if I like it or not. Well, I'm waiting in grid. Cars have already started running. You can see a Mustang out there. The plan for me today is literally just kind of get to know the car more, because there's been a lot of suspension changes. So the focus is really going to be on the chassis and how the car handles, just to see if the changes I've made are something I like or not. I knew I would get a rerun because of the course worker coming out. So what I decided to do was just take it a little bit slower and make sure that I had the course memorized appropriately. And I'm really glad I did that, because that showed me how heavy the steering is on this car. So in the runs moving forward, you'll see that I'm kind of going a little bit wider in some places. And I did that on purpose just so I'm not fighting the steering as much. The steering feel is so heavy because I have a depowered power steering rack in my car, along with the top hats set at the extreme setting, which add a lot of caster. So you couple those things together and it just makes the steering feel really heavy. That's something I'll definitely have to address in the future. And with that, we'll move on to the second run. The back end did not feel like it was set up correctly. It had more body roll than I would like, and it was just slow to transition. So I spent runs 3 and 4 adjusting the dampeners, and what I ended up doing is I put the rear at the stiffest possible setting, and then the fronts, I left them right in the middle. It did end up helping out, and I felt like I did what I could given, the circumstances. So then when I was on to run number 5, I really focused on just smoothing things out. was very happy with this run because I felt like I finally had an understanding of like the car's handling characteristics with all these suspension changes. Historically, the car has been very prone to oversteer. It's honestly been challenging to drive it because of that. And now it's a lot more neutral. I will say it does have a slight tendency towards understeer. There's a few times you guys might see me mid-corner where I'm lifting a little bit, and that's just me trying to get the car to rotate. Of course, I have other modifications planned for this car, like different wheel setup, front splitter and whatnot. So I'm not too concerned about the final balance right now, but I do think it's all headed in the right direction. Run number 6 was very similar to this run, so we'll skip that one and just head straight to the last run where I decided to try and pick up the pace. I was really stoked after this run. The speed that the car could hold through the corners is just amazing, and it's way more than I thought it could. I actually had some raw thoughts right after this run, and I'll share them with you here because I think they sum everything up pretty well.
So that was last run, and I'm just like dead. And I mean that in a good way. The car it's just so exhilarating to drive. Oh, there's Alan and his cool BMW. But anyways, the car is just so exhilarating to drive, and like, dude, you got to give it everything. It doesn't like being putted around. Holy cow. Whew.
Well, I'm back at the shop, and I got to tell you, that last clip really summed it up. I'm just super satisfied with this car. Lots of progress, and I think that it's definitely headed in the right direction. I don't think there's going to be any substantial change to it over the next 6 months, you know, because I do want to do things like the rims, the splitter, etc. The reality is I have limited funds, so what I'm really going to be focusing on is the white MR2 that's just been sitting way over there in the corner. I want to get that car running, so the focus will be on finishing the swap on that car. I will still do some of the smaller things on this. I'm going to investigate about the power steering and how to get that working again. The car has an aftermarket ECU, so I'm going to see if I can control it using that. I also mentioned earlier in the video that like I had a weird issue where the car just really wasn't running right when it was up to temperature. It's definitely nothing to do with the coolant. The coolant's exactly at the temps that it should be. I actually think the fuel pump might be going out on this car, so that's something I'm going to look further into and confirm. I guess the best way to put it is that any of the work that I'll be doing on this car over the next 6 months, it's essentially going to be like maintenance related work. The only exception to that would be the paint. I really love the way the car looks, like the aggressiveness with the arrow and everything like that, but it really bothers me that you have what, like 4 or 5 different colors on here. So the red trunk, this is actually the OEM color. Someone painted this car at a later date, and then obviously you have the fenders from a SMG car. That's all I got for this video, so thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.